Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tonya. If you're done conforming to others' expectations, done suppressing your wants and needs, and done feeling like life has no meaning, and you're ready to build a supportive relationship with yourself, to address resentments and disappointments that come from suppressing those needs and wants, and you're ready to transform your life from the inside out, then you're in the right place. We're going to teach you how to do this using practices that will support you in your mind, body, and spirit. So before we kick this conversation off today, Tina, would you like to set the space for us and those who are watching?
Sure. Let's go ahead and take just a short a minute. We're just going to ground. Um, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Imagine that you have roots growing from the base of your spine and the bottom of your feet. Allow those roots to grow deep down into the earth. Allow yourself to be grounded, connected. Settle into your body. Go ahead and open your eyes. And we're going to burn a little Palo Santo to kind of help bring some good juju in.
Awesome.
I like Palo Santo because it has sage is a good clearing, and Palo Santo helps to bring in the good energy. So just going to send that out to everybody.
I can almost smell it from here.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we thought that today we would choose the topic of energy and energetic hygiene. So Tina and I are both energy practitioners. We use it in the work that we do and in our everyday life. And really, I think we could both say that we have a like energy is everything and everything is energy kind of mindset. So this would be a great topic, I think, for people to just kind of get started with shifting the way they think about energy. There's so much, and I feel like I learn more about it every single day. So this is definitely one of those topics that can go on forever.
Right.
So, so what are some things like let's talk about what we mean by energy because a lot of times in the work that we do, we hear people talk about energy like physical fitness type energy where I'm just tired. I just don't, have the energy to go do XYZ or to whatever. And while that is relevant, I think we're talking about a much more broad type of energy today. And that is more like energetics in my, that's how I would use that phrase that I would use to describe that. Um, so what are some things that come to mind when you think of energetics in that way?
So have you ever walked into a room and somebody's been fighting and you feel that? You can just feel that energy of the whatever they're arguing about or whatever. You can feel, or there's so much tension in the air. Or if you walk into a room and all of a sudden you're pissed off and you're like, where'd that come from? You walk in, you're happy, you're pissed off. So to me, that's kind of how um, energy is. So when you're feeling that energy the other people are putting off, or the energy, I mean, sometimes we feel energy of the collective, right? So when we had in 2020, we had all of this scared energy, all this fear, and you could, we were all kind of feeling that. Does that kind of resonate. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it really well, but
Yeah, and I think it's helpful because whether we're aware of the energy or not, we're all susceptible to it and we're all feeling it. But I think sometimes we have what trips us up is when we identify with it or we try to take it on as ours. So here we have like 2020, we've got a lot of fear, we've got a lot in the collective. And when we feel that way and we don't really know what's going on, I mean, that's one where there was a lot going on, but yet maybe it wasn't affecting me specifically, but yet I'm feeling all the fear and everything, and just recognizing how we pick up the energy from others. We pick up the energy from the collective. And if we're not aware of that, I feel like it creates a lot of havoc within us. I know one of my bigger aha moments with that was way before I did energy work. My kids were little. I was picking them up at my mom's house. My mom and I have different energies. Hers is a lot more, well, it's very different than mine, and it was very heavy for me at the time. And almost every time I would go to pick my kids up, she was mad at me. So there was a lot of that negative energy coming my way. And I remember I just was there for a hot minute. Like I got inside, told my kids to get their book bags, get your coats on, let's get out, we're going home. And by the time, I mean, less than 5 minutes that I was actually in that space, and I get to my truck, my kids are in there, I'm backing out of the driveway and I'm barking at my kids. Just, and I actually stopped and put the truck in park and I'm like, okay, you guys, I am sorry. Like, you have done nothing wrong. There's no reason for you, like, nothing has happened for me to be barking at you. And I'm sorry, like, I'm done with this. I'm letting it go. And I had in that moment that realization that the what had shifted was me stepping into her energy and receiving. I received it. I allowed it in. And she didn't even say anything. Like, it wasn't something that was said that upset me. It was just the vibe. It was just the energy. And in that moment, like, I didn't have the clearing practices that I do now. I didn't have protection practices that I do now, but I knew that's what it was. And I was like, I'm letting this go. I'm not taking this home. I didn't even know I was practicing energy work by doing that. It was just an, I guess, innate something in me that was like, "Phew, we're getting rid of that. All done." And we left and everything was fine, you know? So do you have experiences like that where you had like an aha, oh my gosh moment?
yeah, it's been, I don't even remember when it was, but I was walking with my sister and she got this phone call and it was from her husband and he was, I don't know what was going on, but I felt I could feel her tension. I mean, I felt it and I knew. I was like, what the heck? And I said to her after she got off the phone and everything, I was like, what's going on? Something to that effect. I told her, I'm like, she's like, how did you know? I'm like, I felt it. I know there's something going. And she was like, she didn't say, she said to me, you're empathic. I'm like, what? I don't even know what that is. And so I started doing some research on it and found out that I do pick up, and everybody, just like what you said, everybody picks up energy. Some of us a little bit more than others. Some of us are a little more sensitive to it. But when I started doing that research on it, and I was like, oh my heck, and that's when I started learning how to release that energy and how to, it really made me realize that all my life I was picking up on what everybody else was doing and I didn't even know it, you know. So yeah, it was a big aha moment for me. And I finally, it took a lot to learn how to protect myself and to um not let those energies affect me like they did.
Hmm. I think it's helpful to, because those are very in the moment, right? Mine was in the moment, yours was in the moment. One thing I've known from working with clients is how it can stay with us for years and years and years. So I have a client example where she grew up in a home where, family dinner was always like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30ish, dad would get home from work, and there was a lot of tension around him coming home. So, it was like everybody's doing their thing. Oh crap, he pulls in the driveway at 5:30 and it's total chaos while everybody's trying to run to do the right thing. Everyone's on eggshells and not knowing what it's going to be like when he walks in the door. And so fast forward to her adult life, and there's anxiety coming in at 5:30 every day for no reason, right? So some of those can be memories of that. It can be stored traumas, but that's to me very similar. It's stored energy too. It's a lack of awareness of what's going on and a lack of like really doing the deep work to be like, why do I feel this when there's nothing going on to create this? What does it look like? And being able to unpack some of that to realize, oh, this is energy I'm carrying forward. It's repressed emotions, which I believe shows up. I believe that's energy. Like it's all these things, and how it can stay with us for a really long time if we're not intentionally clearing, cleansing, this hygiene, protecting all those things. It can cause a lot of a ruckus in our life if we're not very intentional with what we do about it.
This is true. And I mean, I know even in my life, um, as you were saying that, I'm like remembering things that, from when I was a kid and still, had from traumas that, I had past trauma that still in my, I'm 60 years old now, I still do some things to protect myself at night because I had this trauma. And so I catch myself, now I am aware, but I catch myself, because I had, and it sticks with you. And then, so yeah, you have that energy. And now sometimes, now I'm able to clear it more because I know I'm aware, but um, yeah, it sticks with you. It can.
Mhm.
Definitely.
And I think of even in the body work and even what we pick up from others, like specifically other things. So, um, aches and pains. Sometimes we have random aches and pains. We don't have injury, nothing's happened, we didn't, whatever, and we are just feeling back pain, knee pain, some kind of pain. And we start to create a story. And this is what I like to kind of bring up around the energy is how we take ownership of it. So we start to create a story. Well, I must have slept wrong, or maybe I stepped wrong, or it must be because I went up and down the stairs too many times. Like, I mean, of course, that maybe, but it could also be that you happened to be in the energy of someone who had some back pain or knee pain, and because we don't have a rational event, we're like, well, man, it must have been something else. It must be this. And so we're taking ownership of energy that's not even ours. And we're planting that into our body. Where instead, if we can just say, I'm letting this go, I'm releasing this, I don't want this, we can actually undo some of that and let go of some of that and allow it to pass out of us so that we're not like, oh, this is mine, I'm going to own it now.
Right. Yeah. Um, that's funny. I remember when I first started learning about energy and realizing that that's kind of what used to happen to me a lot was um, when I would be with Joe, my partner, I would all of a sudden have a backache because he has bad back. And I'm just like, and then we started joking about it. I'd be like, is your back hurting? And he'd be like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm taking it on. And so, yeah, we don't realize how, if we're open and we're not protecting ourselves, then we can take that on. And like you said, we do create that story. It's like, oh man, my back's killing me. What have I done? Or it's my pain. I used to do that with emotions, and I guess I shouldn't say used to. I still catch myself, and if I am around somebody that's like like I talked about earlier, if I'm around somebody who's pissed off, I'm pissed off along with them, or um, I'm taking on other people's emotions. If, if I'm around a bunch of people who are um, sad or whatever, I'm crying right there with them, and it's not mine. But sometimes I take it home with me, and I'm like, I'm with somebody who's sad, and I think it's mine. I get home and I'm like, why am I so sad? Why am I so sad? And then I have to kind of go through a little process and figure out, oh, that's not mine. I'm letting that go, you know.
So what I'm hearing is like the very first step would be awareness of
Mhm.
that, just that first of all, we have to be aware of our own not just emotional state, but emotional state and energetic state, because I mean, we live in a world of mindlessness, right? Where we're just going through it's the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I mean, I don't care how intentional you are about it, it's still going to come up, So it's like for me, the other day I was wandering through my house and I was getting ready for the day, or I don't even know what I was doing, but I just felt anxious and I had no need to feel anxious. I had no appointments to go, nothing was going on. And that is the first step is to notice I'm feeling anxious. Okay, cool. Why? Because if it is mine, it's like, well, I'm running a little bit behind. I have an appointment I need to get to. I don't know, whatever that reason may be. Or I'm stressed. I have this deadline or I have this like there can be something that genuinely is mine. But that specific day, I didn't have anything. I had no reason to feel that way and I was like, okay, so is this something I need to process? And I just really trusted that no, it's not. I'm letting this go. It's something that I've picked up from the collective, from someone else, from someone that in my family maybe that I'm connected to, but regardless, not mine. So I'm just like, we're letting that go. And I mean, I'm doing this with my hands because that's one of the things I do is like letting that go. Like, ew, I don't want it. I shake my hands. And so that's one thing that really has helped me is simply starting with awareness of what's going on. Do you think that's the first step for you too?
Yeah, I do. Being aware, and being aware, uh, so of my, yeah, what's going on with me. So my emotional state, being aware of how my body feels, all those things. And like you said, we're in a mindless state. Most of us are walking around mindlessly, not paying attention to anything. And a lot of us don't even, we're not even in touch with our body. We're not in touch with how we are feeling. And so when we do pick up these things, we just assume it's ours. But when we're able to understand first how we're feeling, and then be able to, like, how you process that, this isn't mine, I'm going to shake that off, and that's exactly what I do too. It's like, okay, why I'm feeling this feeling, there's no reason for it today. Okay, is this mine, or is it something deeper? It could be something that's deeper, that's resurfacing just because somebody said something, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, this, whatever it is, it's coming up. And so then I do have that. But for the most part, it's like, oh wait, that's not mine, let's let that go,
Mhm.
so.
And I think for me, one of the things I do right in the very beginning is just assume it's not. Like that is my go-to is this isn't mine. I'm letting this go. I'm releasing this. If it sticks around for a minute, then I'm like, okay, is there a piece of it that might be mine? Maybe I don't need to claim 100%. Maybe I'm just going to claim 5% of it. But is there a piece of it that's mine? Because I think you said something that really resonates with me is there's sometimes it is, and sometimes it's coming back because maybe nothing's wrong right now in this moment, but something someone said yesterday, it's like, oh yeah, remember you were going to work through this and you
Right.
pushed me to the side or you numbed me or you suppressed me, but I'm still here and I still want to talk to you about this. So it's like sometimes it is ours, and sometimes it is something that's coming up that's ready for some attention for us to do some work around. So I like to start with, this isn't mine, I'm letting this go. And then I will pay attention though, because if it does persist, then I'm like, okay, maybe there's more to it that I need to be aware of. Is something, what else could this be? And that's where my curiosity kind of kicks in. And like what you said, sometimes there is some work that we need to do around this topic, that will help us. Like it's here for a reason if it is
Right.
ours. Let's
Right.
listen to it for a change.
Right. Yeah. And I'm similar. I tend to go with, oh, it's not mine, you know. And then if it sticks around, then I'm like, okay, let's look at this and see where, and like you said, is it partially mine, or is it something that I can claim, or, and then, like we said, go in a little bit deeper with it.
Mhm. So since we're kind of in this topic of like releasing or letting go, what are some ways that you cleanse your energy? Like what are some ideas that you kind of go to get rid of things that either are yours or are not yours, however that would be? What do you do for some of those things?
So, I mean, like if it's in the moment, I'm just wiping myself down and just kind of, you know, or, and that's a good release. I tend to burn sage a lot, and I'm smudging myself like in the mornings, or there are so many different ways. I In the shower in the morning, or in the evening, just imagining that shower is just washing away any energies that don't belong to me. And I have this. I learned this from an energy, and you know who she is, energy worker in Vernal, who uh, my very first session I went to, and she told me um, that she always, or at that time, she would use, how do I put this? I command my body to release anything mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally that it does not belong to me. And so then in the shower, I'll do that often. I'll be like, I command my body to release anything mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally that does not belong to me, and I'll say that like 3 times and just kind of let that shower just run, and I imagine it going down the drain and it's going away. And then you know, like I said, the sage, Palo Santo, um, shaking the drum. I mean, there's so many different ways to release that energy.
I think and honestly, it comes down to intent, right? You
Mm-hmm.
intend to release it. I think you could even just think it like,
Yep.
whatever this is, I want it gone. Like
Yep.
I do the snap because I'm like,
Yep.
I
It's
just
gone.
sent you away. But, whatever that is, like it's just that intention. And that's what I love about it, because I love a ritual. I love slowing down, being intentional, have the whole thing. I love an Epsom salt bath for cleansing, for all of that, because that's me and that's what I love to do. But I also know that that's not required. I can be walking in the middle of Walmart and I don't have to do something that's going to draw attention to myself, because that would be really uncomfortable in some situations. Or if we're in a group of people and we're getting some energy, I don't want to start like totally like
Right.
holler bringing some shit, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to be doing that either. And so it's like just being able to, in our minds, like release.
Mhm.
Um, and like I'm letting it go. Like that, whatever we put that intention to is the big thing. And I think it's really cool to have all these ideas, because just like you, I have a ton. I mean, I'm using sage. I love sage. I used to have an office where I couldn't burn sage. And so I had the sage spray and I would spray that. Um, I love the Palo Santo. I even love incense. I love the drums and the rattles. Like I love all the things and all the tools. And yet And it just depends on the day. One day I want this one day I want that one, but at the same time, it can be that split second of this is gone, be gone.
Right.
So
Right.
really it's like feeling into what you want to do, what feels right to you. And I like to make it fun. I don't want everything in life to be the heavy adulting. I want to be able to have fun with it. And sometimes it feels fun to and calming to just sage with smoke. And then sometimes it feels more fun to have a little sass and a little snap and like be gone, you know? I mean, it's
Right.
just what feels good in the moment.
Yeah. That's me too. I like, and I love shaking. So just kind of shaking the whole body, just stand up and just kind of shake. And that, and it not only helps to release um, those energies that you're picking up, but it kind of helps you to give you a boost of of energy. You know, it kind of just wakes you up, wakes your whole body. But it also, but to me, that's just like, and it's fun. You just go. I'll do that in the house. I'll walk through the house and be like, "I gotta shake off that shit." You know, Joe's looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?"
Uh-huh.
I just picked up something. I gotta shake it off.
Let it go, let it go. Well, and I think we get to have our personalities in it too, you know? And to me, it's the whole philosophy of life that is don't put a rule on it. Like, let it be whatever you want it to be. Let it be as in depth as you want it to be, and then let it be as quick and snappy as you want it to be. And all of those are correct.
Right.
I even love um just washing my hands because I think we're so and the thing I love about the idea of energy is it's the same as germs, right? Like you go into a store, you put your hands on the cart, you're picking up germs on your hands. You can't see it, you can't smell it. I hope we're not trying to see if we could taste it, but you probably couldn't taste it. It's this really um vague concept, but we know it's there because we've been taught that. It's the same thing with energy. It's the same thing. You can't see it, taste it, smell it, touch it, but it's there. And when you leave a store and you're like, "Oh, I just need to wash my hands." And we're thinking germs, which is definitely please do, but there's
Right.
also that energetic and at the same time it can be I'm also releasing the energy that I've picked up or that I may have picked up or whatever and just intentionally clearing it. And I feel like the more we do that, the less we have of things getting stuck or things that we're not aware of just kind of piling up and piling in. If there's just a lot of intentional release throughout the day, it doesn't have a chance to, if it's not ours, it doesn't have a chance to like establish residence in our body or in our space.
Right. Right.
What are
The
some
other,
things?
the other,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
was
was
just
just
thinking
thinking
the
of
other thing
like,
is,
okay, you go.
I was just thinking of protecting myself when I go into a store too. So uh, creating a little bubble around myself to help me to um, protect myself as I go in. So yeah,
That was exactly the direction
it
I was
was
gonna go was protection. So,
okay.
I love it. I love it. Like, so okay, so tell me more about the bubble because if I'm new to this, I don't like what would someone who's new to this idea of energy and energy work. First of all, I do want to say that even though Tina and I are energy practitioners, we use it in our business, we use it in our daily lives. You do not have to have any kind of special training or
Right.
attunement or anything to be able to do this. If so, I just wanted to say that for anyone who's like, but I don't have Reiki or I don't have whatever. Okay, cool. You don't have to. But what does that look like when you put a bubble around?
So it's just an energetic bubble. So the it, when I first started learning, like I said, I had to figure out that I was um, or what it meant to be empathic, what I was doing, picking up people's, and how do I protect myself. And so this lady that knew energy work, she told me, she's like, so what I do is I take this bubble and I step into it. She's like, she imagined like a condom. And so she just step into a condom
There you
and cover
go.
herself. And so at first I did that a lot, just trying to figure that out. And as I've worked with it more and more, it's more of it's that intention of putting just this, before I go anywhere, I kind of just have the intention that I only allow in what's for my highest good. And so when I'm out and about, it's just, I kind of envision a bubble around me, and it's only allowing in what's for my highest good. And that just kind of blocks all, if I'm out when I'm doing ceremony and different things, then it's a different, way. But for that, it's kind of blocking all that stuff that's coming at you all the time.
Mhm. I do that in a very similar way. I definitely know that um, once I gave myself permission to use my imagination, I feel like I had it as a kid, and then as I grew up, it got suppressed or it disappeared in adulting or something. But once I gave myself permission to get back into my imagination and using those creative visual skills, then it opened up all kinds of stuff, which has been interesting. But I have a bubble too, and I mean, I can see it, and it's in my mind's eye. It would also be where I would have used my imagination. It's in like that daydreamy type world for me, and it's like this big, beautiful, golden, glittery sparkle bubble, and that's what it looks like, and I just love it. So I will use that quite a bit. But I love crystals. I'm a crystal person. So I have crystals. I mean, even here in my office up above the door, I have black tourmaline, which is a good protection, good clearing of negative energy. I have it around all four corners of the office. I've got selenite. I have that in every doorway of my home. Windows that I keep open, I have a little thing of black tourmaline. I mean, I'm looking down right now. I have a bracelet on that. This is my onyx bracelet. So, I mean, I've always got something on me that is already good for that. Like there are, especially like your dark, like your blacks, crystals, those are all really good for protection. So I almost always have something on me, near me, around me that is a tool, that's an ally, that's a pretty little friend that I get to have and carry with me, that's going
Right.
to help protect me so that if I don't intentionally put a bubble around, that's always there.
Hmm.
And I really feel like it helps.
I do too. I do. I have a black tourmaline necklace that I wear anytime if I'm doing energy work, if I'm doing or if I'm going out and about, I put that necklace on. I have a dragonfly that I wear all the time too. And those, they just have that intention of protection. And I can't, yeah, I know you and I've talked about this a ton. I can't wear the bracelets for some reason. They just kind of, and I always want them, but I can't. And so um, I do carry, depending on what I'm doing, where I'm going, I will carry crystals around. I have some sitting here at my desk right now that I play with as I'm talking. And, they're grounding and they're protecting. So I love crystals for all that. And I know I saw you had your little bag on that
Oh
you
yeah.
probably have in, yeah, you have your necklace and
I have all the things. I'm just swimming in them.
yeah. And so it's just about just picking and those crystals do have the properties. So the tourmaline, the black, the black crystals have the properties of protection, but amethyst
Mm.
is a good protector. And and if you pick up a crystal and you're like, I would like you to be my protector today, you can infuse that into that, and this is my protection for the day, and carry that with you.
Mhm.
So it's all about, again, we're going back to the intent. It's all about that intention.
Mhm.
So,
And if you ever don't have something, because if you either like you don't want to wear the bracelets and maybe you leave the house without crystals,
mhm,
and I think that's what I love is that none of this costs money.
right.
So it can be as free as you want it to be, where it's that intention, just like it's the intention to clear things, it's the intention I'm protected.
Hmm.
And it's as simple as that is I like to picture the bubble. I've had other people talk about a cloak. So I mean I have this little jacket thing, so even wrapping it like a cloak,
Yeah.
and it's so fun to me. I'm a people watcher. So, not in a creepy way, but I do like to watch people if I'm in a group or in a crowd. It is so interesting to me to watch our body language and watch how we naturally, without even being conscious, anytime we do a difficult topic, we fold our arms. We
Hmm.
are naturally putting a barrier. And what for? It's protecting that energy without us even knowing that's what we're responding to. It's a sense of protection. So even if like I like to do, so there's the cloaking. I've also heard of zipping up like a sleeping bag or like zipping it up. Um, and then, but really it's just whatever you want it to be, and recognizing in ourselves, if I'm like this, what's going on? What
Right.
is it that I'm trying to protect in or protect from? Like, it's just so cool when we can really start looking at, ooh, I'm crossing my arms for some reason. What's going on? What am I protecting myself from or holding within or whatever? Just kind of be curious with some of that. But
Hmm.
there's so much to this that we can do.
Right. I agree.
And I don't personally do this as much, but I've worked with others who do, where they even set that intention at their doorway. So before they leave their threshold, either like before they leave the house, they have that intention that I'm grabbing the doorknob, I'm getting ready to walk out the door, and I'm like, I'm protected, protect me while I'm gone. And then when they walk in the doorway, it's I'm cleansing anything that's picked up in this aura or that's here. And it's like that threshold is very much like I leave protected, I come in cleansed. And what a
Hmm.
cool way to just have, and we can set those trigger reminders like I'm reaching for the doorknob, protection. I'm reaching for the doorknob, cleanse. Like
Right.
those things it can really help us in the way that we show up to things too, to our families at the end of the day. How do you want to walk in the door and see your family?
Hmm.
Not carrying everybody's crap around, and that feels
Right.
gross. And as someone
Yeah.
in the home, I'm like, don't bring that crap home. I don't want it.
Right. Yeah.
So very, very beneficial.
Hmm. I agree that, and I love that idea of doing the threshold as you're walking in and out. But there's just so many ways that you can clear your energy and protect your energy. And um, and like you said earlier, just remember that you don't have to be an energy worker. You don't have to be somebody who works in the. We all we're all we are energy. Everything is energy, so it's always there.
Mhm.
And these are just some tips in how to deal with that. So,
So a lot of what we've kind of covered, I think, is about the kind of like the randomness of energy that we come across. So what about the people that we work with or the people that we're around that maybe we need to put up some energetic shields, or we work with difficult people, we live with, hopefully don't live with, but we are around people that we don't always get to choose. I guess that's the way to put it, right? Especially in like a workplace where you work with who you work with, and sometimes that's not always the most fun. So we I have a couple thoughts around all of that, but what do you like? What are some good ways to recognize, protect, whatever with the energy when you're with someone for 9 hours a day?
so I feel like a lot of it is that, in just as we're talking about, that intention of um, keeping yourself protected. I mean, maybe wearing the crystals and all the things too, if that's what helps you. Um, and I used to, when I first started, I used to have to walk away because I know that sometimes, so we we are like you and I were, we've been doing it for a long time, and so it's kind of automatic for us. But when you're first learning, it's going to take you a little while to keep that bubble around you. And so sometimes you're picking up stuff and you're like, and so when you're around that difficult person for 9 hours out of the day, the first couple hours you're okay, and then after that you're kind of like, oh, they're getting in. So I used to have to just walk away for a while, walk away, clear my energy however I needed to clear my energy, and then put that bubble back on. It was kind of like a consistent thing that I was working on, putting the bubble on for there for, it took me probably a good year to finally figure out how to keep it there consistently. So,
Mhm. And I think, again, it goes to awareness, right? So, because I think there's also a lot of conditioning and expectations around difficult people that we just suck it up,
mhm,
or that we don't do anything to cause waves, or that we meet them in the conflict. I mean, there's whatever it is that we've kind of been raised around, it does. We don't want to step away because we don't want to be rude, or we don't want to tell them we don't want to be part of that conversation because we don't want to make them feel bad or uncomfortable. And I think I wholeheartedly, with every fiber of my being, get that. And I feel that so much. But at the same time, in that way, I'm trading and saying, I'm going to choose this toxic discussion or spending time with this person over my own integrity, over my own self care, over my own energetic hygiene. And I mean, there are times where we just can't avoid it, but there's a lot of opportunities when we can, and like you said, stepping away, shaking it off, going up for a walk around the building, going to the bathroom and washing your hands. Like there's a lot of things we can do symbolically to help us release that on a regular basis throughout the day if it's someone that we have to be around. I think that's important to remember, is that as much as I love to have my bubble, I also recognize that if I've got someone who's sitting right here in the cubicle next to me or in the whatever the work situation looks like, and I literally cannot get out of their energy for the majority of the day, I can take breaks. I can step away. I can, and sometimes it is changing the conversation. Sometimes it is saying, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And oh, well, if they get pissed off, sucks to be them. Like, we don't have to be nice, play nice, make them, if it's okay to say, this is an unhealthy conversation. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Even if you don't use that language, there's a lot we can do, I think, when we give ourselves permission to not just try to make everybody else feel good and comfortable.
right. I agree. And allowing it, just like you said, allowing yourself to put your energetic hygiene or your self care ahead. You know, you're important. You're the, you know, making sure that you put that importance ahead of whatever it is everybody else. I used to just, I used to be around people who would, they're just constantly blah blah blah, and I would be like changing it to a positive subject, just, oh well, and I would find ways to answer them with something positive instead of, trying to go down into that gossip or go down into whatever. So
Mhm.
when we can work on, it's hard at first, but it gets easier the more you do it.
It does. And I think it's important because Sometimes, I mean, as much as I want to flip my hair and say I am never the bringer of negativity,
Right.
reality is sometimes I am the one bringing it to the
Yep.
room. And so that I believe is part of the awareness and part of the honesty with ourselves. I don't have to announce it to everyone. I don't feel like I need to walk in the room and say, hey, I've had a really bad day. So y'all need to walk on eggshells for me. But I need to know, you know? And so, like, this happened to me yesterday where I woke up in the morning in a shitty spot. I mean, I woke up to negative thoughts about myself, to saying mean things to myself. Doesn't necessarily start me off in the happy, lovey, energy, compassionate vibe, right? I mean, I kind of started there. And I noticed how I went to this luncheon and there were people speaking, and I was agitated and I felt it in myself and I couldn't sit still. I was kind of wiggly. I was like, like I have some sass within all the way. And I think that's really important for us to recognize as well, because we are responsible for the energy that we bring to the room. And we can't control what other people bring. We can do everything we've talked about already to protect and not bring that in and release and all the things. But sometimes we do have to acknowledge the fact that I'm bringing this to the room,
Right. And
and
that just, yeah, that
not
goes back to
just,
awareness. Yeah.
yep, and not just like, and intent, and not vomit that all over everybody. I mean, when I'm in that space, I try hard not to like really spend any time at all on social media, because those are the days where I'm triggered and I will answer the and go down the sassy rabbit hole of comments that normally I'm like, I'm not investing my time and energy into this. So looking at that awareness, honesty, and I think too, doing those cleansing things for ourselves so that we're able to rid it, and looking at like, okay, so for me, I just didn't sleep well. Did I eat something not healthy the day before? Why am I not? There's a gazillion reasons what it could be. Or I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And I'm not going to make it a bigger deal than that, but I'm going to look at, I still think there's lessons in it,
Yeah.
you know? Um, that was definitely for me yesterday was, okay, why now? Why is this bothering me? Is it just because I woke up on the wrong side of the bed? And I'm actually really glad that I did some contemplation, because I have a whole new understanding of things that I thought I had let go that are still very much alive within me. So I'm like, okay, we need to do some journaling and a little rage on the page, and we're going to do some work around that. Not today, but in the near future.
Mhm.
Again, it's like what you brought up in the very beginning. What do I need to do something with this? Is this something that I need to release?
Right.
And for me yesterday, it was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah. 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 Being aware. That awareness is like the biggest thing in energy. I think in protecting your energy and in the energetic hygiene is being aware.
Hmm.
And like you said, also being aware if it's you that's bringing it to the, or me. I know there are many times it's me. So,
Sometimes the sass is fun and exciting, and I'm like in that fun, sassy vibe. And sometimes it's more negative. If I'm
yeah.
completely honest, there are times where I'm like, oh, not necessarily proud of how I handled myself yesterday,
Right.
but we learn from those moments too.
Yep. That's true. That's true.
So, with this topic of energetic hygiene, protecting our energy, cleansing, we've covered a lot of good stuff. Is there the one thing I think I would like to add would be frequency of this? Like, if I'm starting out, how often do I need to do this? What does that look like? Do you have ideas or suggestions?
Um, for the energy protection, for creating the bubble, it's like I said earlier, it's like I when I first started out, I had to do you know, almost every hour. It was like it was on my mind all the time because and if it wasn't on my mind, then I was like picking up all, and I would go home and I would be like, oh yeah, that's what it was, you know. Um, and then once I got better at it and learned and understood myself better and understood how the energy affected me, then I got to where it was less often.
Mhm.
So if you're going out, it, for me personally, if I'm going, when I'm home, I'm pretty much in my own little bubble. I don't ever worry too much about it. If I'm getting on a Zoom call, then maybe I do a little bit extra protection. If I'm going out town, then I'm carrying all the crystals and I'm bringing my juju. And so I feel like it's something that, and it's pretty personal to each person. Um, as far as the clearing and the smudging, I feel like it could be, you know, if you're in a room, people are arguing, you walk out and it's like, that's gone. I'm not carrying that stuff with me. Or, you know, in the mornings, saging just to kind of clear your energy. Um, in the evening or morning, whenever you shower, you know, clearing your energy, or it's just, you know, whatever feels good to you, I think. I don't
Mhm.
know. What do you think on that?
I think so too. And I think especially if it's new to you and you're just starting out, I'm a huge fan of reminders. I have reminders that go off in my phone all the time that are reminding me of whatever it is. Not and it's specifically like right now I have several reminders in my phone that say radical self-care because that is what I'm focusing on this week. But I think because when we hear it, we're like, "Oh, I love that idea. I want to do that." And then 5 minutes later it's gone. So if you create something that will, and that's what I like every time those little, and I have the silent alarm so my phone just vibrates and I can look at it and have that little reminder as I'm going to silence it. So for me, if I'm brand new to this, that's what I would do is set up little reminders for myself so that it doesn't get lost and it's like 6 months from now and I've packed on 6 months worth of crap and it's just those little like reminding myself several times throughout the day to just say release energy. That's what the label I would put in my phone with a little alarm and just to get me in the habit of thinking and being aware of it. I think that would be a practical hands-on tool that people could do while they're getting in the practice of that, um, would be a good way to do it. And if you're like, there's no way I want them in my phone or whatever, then find one that fits you. Find one that feels right. If it's a sticky note on a steering wheel or the handle on your doorknob going into or out of. I feel like in the beginning for me it was pretty rare that I would remember it on my own. Um, Now and I really think the difference is feeling like being aware of your body. Does my body feel light? I'm good. If I start to feel heavy, like if the energy feels heavy, that's when I'm like, ugh, I gotta
Mm,
let some of this go. So just those little signals, once we're good at tuning into our body, um, can be really helpful too, I think.
right, right. I agree, and I love that. Doing the reminders thing. I I didn't do that, but I did. Mine was, it was just on my head. You know, I was thinking about it constantly,
Mhm,
and but I love that idea of different of putting the reminders in the phone. So
mhm. So is there anything else that you would want people to know about this topic of energetic hygiene or anything like that?
yeah, one thing um I would really want people to know is if you're going to a person that does energy work. So say you wanted to get a Reiki session or you wanted to have, you know, any kind, people do all different kinds of energy work right now. I would suggest that you really take the time to feel into what that person does, research them if it's up, if you need to, and always be conscious of who you're allowing into your energy in that way, because um it can't it I don't know how deep we want to go with it, but with energy work,
You know me, I'm like, let's go
we
deep.
yeah, with energy work, you're opening yourself up to allowing that person's energy in your field, and you want the right kind of people in your field. And it's not just with energy work. Kind of, you and I talked about this earlier, talking, your hairdresser, who is your who are you going to do a massage with? Who are you going to do foot zoning with? Those types of things always feel, and to me it's intuitive. So always feeling how your body feels. How does it feel if you're, say I want to make an appointment with Tonya with you right now, and what does my body feel like saying, you know, what is Tonya, if my body's clenching up and I'm like, oh no, Tanya's not right for me, then I will search for somebody else. And that was kind of who, when I, even if you wanted to learn how to do energy work, and like you and I have a class coming up for teaching Reiki, doing that research on those people, when you're learning, you want to be taught by somebody who also feels good, who's going, because they're going to be in your energy field. We're in a close group, and we're in that um, field. We're open. We're in this energy field. We want to be in the room with people who are going to be um, supportive, and not who are going to start tearing us down.
Hmm.
Or I shouldn't say tear us down, but you
Even just
know,
the energy that's not
make you feel
compatible.
better. Yeah, that's not compatible.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's one thing that I really want people to understand, is that energy work, while it's very good, it's very relaxing, it's so good for you. It helps to heal, helps you to heal yourself. But if you're on the table with somebody who is not compatible with you, it's not your person, then it um, can leave you feeling like you're like, what the heck happened. So
Hmm. I agree. And I love that you brought that up. And I want people to remember that it's not personal. So if someone is like, because I love to do Reiki sessions, and if someone was like, I'm really curious about it, but for some reason it doesn't feel right for them to come to me, that's okay. That doesn't upset me at all. I'm okay with that. If they feel like I'm a no for them, I don't take that personally. And so I think it's important for them to remember too, like if you're wanting to reach out to someone, don't feel like I have to go to this person, or I'm obligated, or I can't try someone. Yeah, it's okay. It's really okay. If it doesn't feel correct for you, go with that, trust that, allow that to be. And I know for me, because I have lots of friends in this energy world, and sometimes I know I need to go to that one, and I don't have to, I'm not sitting here like, why am I not drawn to this other person? I don't care. It's not, I don't have to figure that out. I just know that's the one I want to go to. And today I need this one. And now I need this one. And then I'm going to go probably back to this one again at some point. Even though I do energy work on myself every day, there's other people that I can receive benefit from. And so just trusting that people have what you need when you need it. And
right.
whichever one you feel drawn to, or they keep coming up in your peripheral or in conversations, you're like, okay, I hear you, universe. I'm going to make that appointment with Tina, or I'm going to call
Hmm.
Tonya, or I'm going to reach out to whoever, and just let that be without adding guilt of, but I should go to this person instead, or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and don't let your friends talk you into, just because your friend says that Tanya is the best ever, and it doesn't feel right to you, then don't do it.
Hmm.
Or just because your friend says Tina is awesome, don't do it. you
Hmm.
know and if it doesn't feel right to you, then don't let your friends talk you into it,
Hmm.
because you're not going to get the benefit. You're not going to um you're going to get off the table feeling like maybe something was off.
Hmm.
3/4 of the time. I think that's
Mhm.
what's going to happen. So,
And if you have any resistance going in, you're going to feel that yourself. Like
mhm.
you're not going to be as open. And I get if it's new and you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, that's a little bit different because there's a little
Right.
of that newness. I don't know what to expect kind of newness. So remember that you can always ask that practitioner, hey, what's going to happen today? Tell me what this looks like. You can do that before you even come in. And that I don't
Mhm.
have any problem with that. Well, this is what we create. This is what we do and really kind of help you with some of that. I know I have noticed that when I have people coming in to receive Reiki for the first time ever having an energy session, there's a little bit of like that tension. They're like, I don't really know what to expect. And then I almost feel a little bit of resistance. Um, and that's, oh, and look,
Oh, wow.
I don't know how that happens. Like, that's so cool. I have Zoom. Zoom is reinforcing this, but it's almost like I feel a little bit of resistance in their energy field. And I can feel it when it turns off, like when they settle enough and then all of a sudden it feels very different. I can feel the energy flow a little differently and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's cool to be able to be the practitioner and recognize that, but I think also for the person on the table for them to be able to release that, then they're going to be able to receive more of a benefit. I have had situations where um I've got a couple of guys that come to mind, clients of mine where they've had like this is outside their comfort zone, right? And the whole time, like they're just nervous but there's a lot that I'll do. Like we'll chat the whole time. It doesn't have to be super quiet. We can talk the whole time. But then when they come back, like second time, it's completely different. They're relaxed, they know what to expect. So just give yourself permission to have the experience that you need to have, and everything will be fine.
Right. I agree. And that's perfect. I'm glad you brought that up because
Hmm.
it is, it's totally, most people, I don't know. It's not, yeah, it is mainstream, but it's not. So a lot of people still don't understand what it is, or what's going to happen when you get on the table. So,
Hmm. 10 years ago, I was anti all things energy work. So I really resonate when people are skeptical.
hmm
The first energy session I ever had, I had resisted. I had a lot of people in my field saying, you need to go, you need to go. And I was like, STFU, basically. And I had a friend who was like, no, really, you really got to go. And I don't want to say peer pressure because that wasn't it. I just went to humor her, shush
hmm
my friend. Okay, fine, I'll go. And I literally went for entertainment value. I didn't think there was anything to this. I thought it was just going to be entertainment value. And I left there going, wow, I don't know what that was, but that was a very interesting experience. And that was so cool for me because my life did not change overnight. I accepted it and I became a regular consumer. Like I would go to energy healers for several years before I ever decided um, to, have Reiki and go through that on my own. 8 years I was going regularly.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, it's always we all have our own
hmm
journey into or where it starts for us, but so yeah, even the skeptical, it's like it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay
Right.
to come to shut up a friend or to come for entertainment value. And if you get nothing out of it, that's okay too, you
hmm
know? So what
Right.
I just let you have like you do you. Have your
Right.
experience. Let it be.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's a good point. So
Awesome. Anything else that you can think of in energy hygiene?
I think we covered a lot. So if anybody has questions,
Yes. Put your questions in the comments below the video. If it's helpful, please like and subscribe and share and all the good things. Um, and then if we come up with something we forgot, maybe we'll have that on another one. How's that?
right, that works.
Awesome. Okay, we will see you again soon.